Good evening, this is Charles Amirkhanian. Welcome to Ode to Gravity. Tonight, a Residence Retrospective. We have in the studios with us Snakefinger, who is one of the protégés of the Residents, a collaborator and a guitarist. He's going to be talking with us. Also, manager Clem is here. The Residents are four musicians from northern Louisiana who arrived in the Bay Area in the late 60s. They have been perhaps one of the most prophetic music groups in America because they have presaged a lot of the material that has been evidenced in the recent punk rock and new wave movement. They were doing it a long time ago. They took their name from the commercial world's direct mail gimmick of anonymously addressing junk mail, and they continue to release hit after hit in a really grotesque style, which their manager Clem refers to as new music, with the emphasis on S-I-C-K at the end of the word. They have chosen to remain collectively famous but individually anonymous. Nobody really knows who the Residents are. They are four musicians who have assiduously avoided revealing their names to the public, and their music is known almost entirely by means of their records. They are using the recording studio as a compositional tool in a way which almost precludes live performance. In December 1972, the Residents released their first records, a two-disc set of 45s and a hand-printed silkscreen cover, which is now a collector's item. And on February 1st, 1974, Meet the Residents, cleverly packaged to resemble a Beatles album, hit the stands. The album notes referred to at that time the fetish of the Residents, which involved collecting unusual recordings from garage sales and second-hand stores, and these items are occasionally incorporated into their pieces. The British artist Snakefinger, who has, upon hearing the Residents' music, flown to the West Coast and joined this group, is here tonight, and he's going to be talking with us. The Residents issue their records on their own label, Ralph Records, which is located in San Francisco at 444 Grove Street, and they have been doing a tremendous amount of work in the last couple of years. Their most recent LP, Eskimo, appropriately pressed on white vinyl in its first pressing, has attracted major attention to the group, and now everywhere around the world where new wave music is heard, Eskimo is played and listened to with a great deal of interest. I'd like to welcome to the studios Snakefinger, who is one of the artists who's performed widely with the Residents. Thanks for coming down to KPFA.
Oh, good buddy every evening. My pleasure, I'm sure.
I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the new disco single, Discomole, which has just been released, or is just about to be released. Exactly when did the Residents get the idea to put this together?
Well, I believe it was just some time after they'd finished the Eskimo album.
It was a brilliant idea, huh?
I think it's absolutely fabulous myself. I couldn't put out anything better on my own accord.
When exactly is it going to be in the stores? Jay, do you have any idea? Clem is manager of the Residents.
Yes, I have an idea. It should be in stores locally no later than the end of next week, potentially a bit sooner.
So that's very, very soon. We're going to be playing it, and as I understand it, Jay, this is the first broadcast ever made of Discomole. Is that correct?
This is the world premiere.
Oh, I can't wait. Snakefinger, did you perform on Discomole, or is that...
Yes, I performed on Discomole.
What part do you play? What musical line?
Well, I play Shaft on it.
Brilliant. We're going to listen to it. It's a long piece. It's not a short piece. It's a 12-inch 45, and it runs 8 minutes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, this is probably one of the first times that a new wave group has released a disco hit. Or do you call it the Residents a new wave group exactly?
No, I don't call them a new wave group. And by the way, Charles, I'd like to take exception with something you said earlier about my preferring to call it new music. I think that was taken a bit out of context, and what that related to was a preference of that term over new wave.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes more sense. Snakefinger, let me ask you, Eskimo is a sort of series of songs tied together by this wonderful wind machine sort of sound, and I wonder how the Residents approached putting together Discomole.
Well, before I answer that, let me say that those suckers can sure jam. They're funky as hell.
Yeah.
But apart from that, yeah, what they did was as far as I can tell, is definitely taking pieces out of each of the recognizable parts of Eskimo and remaining true to Eskimo, and just jamming it up, man. You know what I mean? I mean, basically sticking with Eskimo. I mean, you can recognize all those things from the album, and they're basically changed into acceptable westernized musical form, although it's not really acceptable anymore.
Well, so you have a condensation of a lot of the different pieces that were on the original Eskimo album, but condensed in time.
Condensed in time and changed in musical format.
Are all of the songs used?
Not all but about 2 or 3 pieces.
Discomole is on side 1. J. Clem, what is on side 2?
It's a little number entitled Goosebump. What it actually is a medley of children's songs which are played entirely 100% on children's instruments. I mean, on toy instruments purchased from a toy store.
But it's not in the same style. It's not a disco.
Oh, no, this is more typically residential.
I should mention that we have a copy of the record cover here, which is printed in about 73 zillion colors on both sides, and it will be available from Ralph Records. It includes a drawing of the residents by Jad Fair of half Japanese. What does that mean? Jad Fair, who is that? Artist in San Francisco?
No, it's not. He's not from San Francisco. He's from New York, somewhere in New York, not New York City. But
where's the drawing? It's
half.
Oh, this is it here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Half Japanese is in fact a musical group in their own right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Or perhaps I should say recording artist.
In the studio with me, I'm Charles Amirkhanian, is Snakefinger, who is a guitarist who performs frequently with the Residents, is an intimate friend and associate of these anonymous 4 musicians. And Snakefinger, maybe you could just say a word about how this piece was put together, the Goosebump piece with all the instruments. Fantastic piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I must say that in my recording experience with the Residents, which has been very, very long and happy one, that might have been the most fun, recording Goosebumps. The studio was literally about 2 feet under children's toys everywhere you walk. You just could not move. There was every kind of children's toy imaginable, every kind of children's musical instruments. So we decided to do it in sections, basically. In sections, we got all together all the children's nursery rhymes and things that we could think of. Then we selected the best known ones and ones that we liked best and put them all into different sections, trying to put together all the songs about farms, farms, Indians, mice, and say that would be one section, and then all the pleasant ones about stars, they would be going in another section, and then the ones about flowers, plants. We had a plant section. We're very fond of plants. But anyway, the farmer section almost managed to become more paranoid than the actual paranoid section. So that's
sort of one of the themes of the Residents' music, I think. Paranoia. It's
one of the themes of modern day-to-day living. One of the very major themes. So I guess it does come into the music a lot.
What are the Residents going to be doing? Do you have any? Have you talked with them about their plans for another album? Is there something else forthcoming?
Yeah, there's another album in the works right now. It's due for late fall release. Is that right, Mr. J. Clem of the Cryptic Corporation?
I don't precisely know about late fall, but it is scheduled for release in the fall. And if I might say one more thing, Snakefinger will have a new LP coming out in the fall as well.
That's wonderful. We're going to be listening to Snakefinger's LP that's out right now, which is called what?
Chewing hides the sound.
Oh, does it though?
It does, in fact, if you're eating Smith's crisps.
Snakefinger, you've heard The Model. We can't talk about what that's about. That's a beautiful song, though. Did you write the music?
No, I didn't. That's a song by Kraftwerk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, German, okay, I recognize it now.
Some German chappies who write very nice music.
Tell me about the jungle piece on side 2 we're going to listen to next.
Well, it's basically about these people who get stuck on another planet. They're part of a training program from the United States Air Force. They get stuck on another planet and some alien beings basically start taking advantage of them and use them for their own vile and nasty experiments. And that's basically what the whole song's about. Experimentation on humankind.
Picnic in the Jungle from Snakefinger's LP, Chewing Hides the Sounds. Wow. Boy, that's beautiful. And what a nice ending.
Thank you.
Snakefinger, what is the title of this cut we're about to hear now?
This cut is called Who's the Culprit and Who's the Victim? A question I'm sure we've all pondered over many times.
In the studios tonight, Residence manager Jay Clem, and also with me is Snakefinger, who is a featured guitarist on the album you've just heard, and also a confidant of the 4 members of the Residence, whose names are unknown, in fact, whose faces are unknown to all who hear them via their recordings and radio appearances.
The record's fingerprints, the cut was Home-Age Conversation.
Home-Age Conversation on Ralph Records, and has just been released. Jay, that came out when?
Oh, approximately 2 weeks ago, maybe week and a half.
I know.
Week and a half, 2 weeks.
Jay Clem is from Ralph Records. He's manager of the Residence, and he's here tonight for the Residence Retrospective, along with Snakefinger, who is a guitarist and has had a single, rather an LP released from Ralph Records, and another
Good
one
evening.
on the way. Good evening.
Oh, sorry, have we started? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we started. Jay, maybe we should mention that you're releasing at Ralph records of groups other than the Residents themselves. That's sort of a new development.
Reasonably new development, yes.
Who else have you got besides Tuxedo Moon? That's fabulous.
We have
album.
MX80 Sound, in addition to the Resident Snakefinger and Tuxedo Moon, as previously discussed and played. I believe you got a MX80 cut coming up there, don't you?
Yeah, this is Someday You'll Be King, and it's from...
You're not supposed to know that.
It's on a single.
I was in the other room just now.
That's cheating. I don't know what's coming up next myself.
You don't?
I can't wait.
Is this on their LP also?
Yeah, the A-side, Someday You'll Be King, is on the LP, but the B-side is not on the LP. In addition to the fact that the B-side on the Tuxedo Moon single and the new Snakefinger single are also not on their albums.
You can sell a lot of singles playing around like that, can't you?
It helps.
Could you tell us, Snakefinger, if the Residents are listening tonight by any chance?
Well, you make sure that you have all your torpedoes ready with the toilet paper and... Oh, the Residents! Oh, yes. Sorry, the Residents, yes. No, they won't be listening tonight. They don't have radios.
Snakefinger, I guess you weren't around then when they put together that record. It was the original recording of Santa Dog.
Yeah, I was just around before that. I was playing with them before that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I left for England to form a group called the Chili Willies that was kind of moderately successful over there, and came back after that.
I see. Well, then when you came back, you saw this 2-record set lying around, I guess. And the titles of the pieces were quite different from the pieces that we know now. I mean, Santa Dog is entitled Fire on the album, and the other titles are Explosion, Aircraft Damage, and Lightning. And it's sort of a bizarre-looking cover here, hands silk-screened and then coated with some sort of indefinable plastic.
It's about a couple of $100 worth of cover you're holding
is
there.
Is that right?
Under collectors' markets.
My God. Oh, I can't believe it. A couple $100? Is that right?
Yeah, it's phenomenally expensive to buy nowadays.
We just heard Smelly Tongues done by Snakefinger. Hey, that was really nice. Snakefinger, how'd you do that at the end? Just a hard splice, huh?
That's the way to do it. Before I answer any more questions, I'd like to say, I know where all your kids go to school, alright? So you better fucking bloody subscribe pretty quickly. Otherwise, I'll have to scratch the record. Scratch the record. Scratch the record. Scratch the record. Oh, I listen to all the groovy reggae shows, and I listen to the old blues shows. And I listen to that foreign type, African type music, the African music shows. They're very popular at my household. You know, as I'm going about the country smacking the people up the bum with the fiberglass fishing rod, I'm listening to Idi Amin and all them crazy characters on the radio, played specifically by KPFA.
That is difficult to hear on headphones all the way through from beginning to end. Snakefinger, you were performing on that, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's the very truth of the matter. They forced me. They tied me into the studio and then beat me with whips while I played my guitar over the solo piece of that.
Oh, that's an amazing experience. And to think that was recorded in '76, I can't even remember. There wasn't new wave music around then, was there?
No. That was well before new wave even reared its ugly head. That was some wave. That was the wave before new wave, but definitely not well before any of that was even started.
We're listening tonight to a survey of music by the Residents, and we're going to hear now a piece called Laughing Song. You familiar with this tune?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I played violin on it and generally fooled around and laughed with the Residents as we were making it.
There were a lot of records around the 1910, 1920 that were called laughing records. People would...
I'm familiar with them, like Laughing Policeman and such.
Fantastic things. And I guess this is sort of a 1970s version. Huh?
You might say that this was the definitive modern laughing song.
Who else? Tuxedo Moon. And Snakefinger, who is in the studio.
Good evening. Oh, sorry, yes, we've already done that.
Yes, we've done that. Look, we've got this yellow 45 over here, the one that had Satisfaction on one side. I'm sure the Satisfaction probably leaks over into the other side somehow, but...
Losers congruent to me makes me come.
It does? Is that what we're going to hear next?
Only on Wednesday evenings, though. Beautiful. Beautiful. 36 lost. That's excellent.
The Residents are a group of 4 people who are anonymous. They produce all their music in their own studio, which is a semi-professional recording studio. It's got just about everything but a 24-track machine in it, and they do wonders with this incredible music, which is never performed live in public. You can only hear it on records on the Ralph label, and we've had a request for one of the other sides from the rare 2-record set, the 45, which is available. Do you think we ought to do that?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to give the old folks out there something that they can really get their teeth into, if you know what I mean.
That first Residence set of 2 45s, which is, you said it's selling for $200, but I think you were underestimating a bit. I doubt if there are any on the market at all, really.
Well, if you can get them, that's about the going price. But of course,
$200.
A real collector will pay more just to get hold of one.
What is that, Jay? Can you read? Explosion. Snakefinger, you weren't here when they recorded this, but imagine you can give us a bit of insight into this next piece of music, Explosion.
I was in England at the time, although I was sent tapes just to put abstract sort of music on, to basically put on anything that was going on at the time. This piece, Explosion, was basically based out of the intrinsic desire of the Residents to do something truly fulfilling and something truly sensual, something to grab the senses of every human being in the whole area that was basically available to hear it, and this is what we're about to hear now. Truly sensual, something to grab the senses of every human being in the whole area that was basically available to hear it, and this is what we're about to hear now.
Snakefinger, we have another piece of yours up, which is called The Spot. Anything about it?
Well, it's the first time the Residents actually persuaded me to do something with them. I'd been thinking about the way that music ought to be changing for a long time, and they eventually persuaded me that music really ought to be changing, and wishing to do something rather other than what the Residents are doing, because they have that ground well covered. I decided to put my own interpretations onto the way that music should be going for the future, and this is the first thing.
What is that?
Crafty cheese. The Residents had to teach me how to talk Louisiana accents just to be able to sing or anything with them.
They don't really maintain those accents. Everybody would recognize them.
They can't help it. That's natural to them. I have to conform with them, otherwise my English accent stands out about 3 miles.
Do you think these guys are consciously avant-garde? I mean, they really think of themselves as having a place in history?
Yeah, they know that they have a place in history. They knew right from the very first moment I met them, they already knew that they had a place in history and that they had a very important place in the way of the way that music was changing. Even then, before they even had anything on plastic, they knew. It was incredible.
And we'd like to thank Jay Clem. Jay, it's been great having you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Jay Clem is the manager of the residence. He's the guy at Ralph Records who takes care of your orders when you write to 444 Grove Street, San Francisco 94102 for a catalog of this incredible group. Snakefinger, it's been great talking with you. I appreciate you coming by.
Well, I've really enjoyed it. We started off a bit cool, but we sure hotted it up before the end of the evening.
We blew away half our subscribers.
I'm sure we did. I'm very sorry about that. I apologize, but I mean, you will ask for these things by playing this kind of music.
That's right. Do you do any live performances? Do you have anything coming up?
We have a tour planned, and I'll be on tour at the end of the summer, starting with the whole of America and then ending up in Europe.
Not South America and Indonesia this time.
Maybe ending up in somewhere in Africa where we can get away from it all. You know what I mean.
It's been great talking with you.
Cheers.
Remember, I'd like to thank Jay Clem, Snakefinger, and the residents for their participation on this program. I'm Charles Amirkhanian. This is Ode to Gravity, heard bi-weekly on KPFA.